I'm going to call the meeting to order. It is 5:28. My name is Susan Hingle. We are the Monroe County Women's Commission. The commission shall serve in an advisory role to assist residents, businesses, and the government of Monroe County in addressing issues of gender equity in all aspects of society. The mission is to advance the status of women in all areas of county life and to champion women's contributions to local society. There are no introductions needed. We do have 4 people, so that is quorum. It is my understanding there's Maria. Hi, Maria. Nice glasses. Is here. Molly should be here. Tiana was supposed to start, and come late. But we have quorum, so we're gonna plow ahead. Everyone has a chance to look at the agenda? Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I motion to approve the agenda if we can include the preamble part in the mission when we're talking about that. Okay, yes.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All in favor say aye.
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 And Maria.
We got
You
it.
look so good. She always looks good. The minutes went out a couple weeks ago, I think. Nikki was on it. Everyone had a chance to look at those, and come on, sit up here, Misty. You know, you can have your seat. That's approval of the minutes. Were there any things that needed to be made?
Are these the minutes from
August.
They're not on, are they on the Dropbox?
They should be.
I don't see them. They haven't made it to Dropbox yet, so they're via email.
Okay, they were sent to the email 2 weeks ago. Correct? Did other people get them?
I got July minutes. Oh, there it is. No. Still looking.
Sorry, I thought I put those in the Dropbox.
August.
I don't see them either, but
August
I did send
minutes
them.
on September 10th. You sent them. Yes.
Yeah.
Clearly, I've not looked at them.
Do we want to approve them or table it till next time, or?
Just take a minute and look through it.
Yeah, I'm looking through.
Okay.
Okay, I move to approve the minutes.
Does anybody want a second?
I second.
Thank you.
I second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Or we have roll
Aye.
call? Should we do
Aye.
roll call with Maria? Is that how we should do it? It doesn't matter since we
know.
have 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Minutes passed. Commissioner updates. Me. So, this should have gone under new business. Should I talk about the letter now, or should I put it under new business?
Doesn't
I'm
matter.
first going to say this for our minutes for this meeting, specifically what I talked about couple weeks ago at our meeting when I talked about putting timelines on emails for approval and things, because that was just for our group, not for the whole group. And I just wanted to say that when we put out things through email that people need to review, to put a due date on them so people have time to respond, because not everybody can respond during the workday, or it might take them days. So hopefully nothing's too urgent in that manner, that we get approved that way. I think that is very helpful when you put deadlines on it, even if we all ignore it. That means we had the chance and whatever. But I think it's great. I find it very helpful. So we talked about the Indiana State Commission for Women thing last time, briefly about the award. The Torchbearer Award for 2023 was supposed to go to Dr. Caitlin Bernard, but the governor nixed it. And we found this out from Senator Yoder, and that Michigan City Women's Commission wrote a letter and presented it to the Indiana Commission for Women, who's in charge of the Torchbearer Awards. I have pretty much just echoed what they said. Should I read it or not? Yes?
We all have a copy, right?
Yeah, we do have a copy. I do want everybody to know, for the record, I did send it to Senator Yoder because I mentioned Senator Yoder in the email. She got back to me last night. I sent it back to her. They made some edits, and I got it back today. So this has been approved by Senator Yoder for us to pass along, as long as we vote that we all approve sending this out.
Yeah, so what you sent us over email is the letter with, that Senator Yoder approves?
Yeah, and you have a copy.
We do have, there is a slight typo, the second to last paragraph. It should be "and continues" instead of "and continues." Other than that, it looks good.
Awesome.
I had two things. So I wonder, in the first paragraph at the very, very end, I know Michigan City said on behalf of all women in Indiana, but do we want to say, it's fine with me, I'm not going to die on this, but do we want to say all women in Monroe County? Or if we want to stick with Indiana, that's fine. And then there's we need an ER after commission for Molly Otto.
Well, the first paragraph, that's asking the Indiana Commission to publicly denounce the action on behalf of all women. So it's not us doing that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That fixes that.
What was the second thing?
Oh, I looked up
So
ER under
down in the
Molly's name.
signature lines, yeah.
Yeah.
So if I'm asking if I have a motion to pass this, do we approve me sending the letter to the Indiana State Commission for Women on behalf of the Monroe County Women's Commission?
Motion to pass.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Is everybody ready to vote?
What?
I just want to make sure everybody's ready to vote. Everybody read
Are
through
you
it?
ready? Yes. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Maria, you good? Yeah. Then I will send this on with those corrections to the Indiana State Commission for Women. The Torchbearer Awards are next week. I know Kathleen and I still plan on going, which I thought about not going, but I'd rather go. So that's that.
So Susan, what's our next steps, or are we like following this up with anything? Are we holding anybody accountable for receiving this and responding to it, or what? Is there anything that we need to do or should do after we send it?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm good with sending the letter. I might, it's one of those things where, we could discuss making a press release if we wanted to about this. I don't know. I do want to follow up with Senator Yoder about maybe coming up with our own, recognizing Dr. Bernard on our own. But I think those are probably the next steps.
Yeah, at the Torchbearer Awards, if there's someone with the Indiana Commission for Women that's there or that says something about it, that might be something to pay attention to as well.
Yeah, I haven't been able to talk to Jordan, so.
Yeah.
So action steps are are that we're sending the letter in time for the Torchbearer Awards. You two are attending the Torchbearer Awards ceremony to represent us, and then we'll report back. And then follow-up is going to be, we're going to have a discussion with Senator Yoder or amongst ourselves about moving forward with our own kind of way to recognize Dr. Bernard. Is that?
Yes,
Got it.
thank you. I like it that you speak Susan.
Now you just have to type all that up.
What?
So now you just have to type all that up.
I know. It's fine.
Okay, that's all I have. Maria, you have the floor.
Thank you. So happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Happy Blood Cancer Awareness Month. Happy Library Card Sign Up Month. And this is clearly important. They're all important, but National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month and World's Alzheimer's Disease Month. Big month. I just wanted to thank Julie for all of her, Commissioner Hardesty, for all of her research, writing, and always showing up to JFAC and being so passionate about that work. And I thank you to Julie and Susan for purchasing tickets to the Wrapped in Love kickoff event for Middle Way House. So just a reminder that is the tree sweaters. It's tree sweater weather, and they're starting to go up now. And then we're having a big kickoff at Switchyard Park on Pavilion on October 12th at 5:30. Thank you.
Thank you. Old and ongoing business, the commission meeting report. I know sign-ups have been a little light. I did watch the meeting this month, or this week, which talked about, I keep wanting to call them TMZ. I don't know what their acronym is, because they talked about moving.
DBZ? Is it?
No, the jail site, the jail site stuff.
The jail design company that they've contracted with.
Yeah.
DLZ.
Yeah.
TLZ?
DLZ.
DLZ.
Yeah.
TMZ, that's it. But that's all I caught, and that I know Jail Commander Gibbons gave the updates on, which I thought was great. He gave the updates on the numbers at the jail right now. I don't know if anybody saw them. They had 200 inmates. He listed what the cases were. I don't know if he broke it out by gender, but it was a nice thing to hear or be reported. That's all I have. Anybody else watch a commissioners meeting that has anything to report? The county council, I know they've been working through their budget like crazy. I haven't really watched, I've watched one, I think. It was a lot. Oh yeah, because it was with the Sheriff Duarte. That was the one I watched. But that was it. Kathleen went to the Bloomington Commission on the Status of Women on September 7th. If you would like to give us a little rundown of what happened there.
Sure. So they had their meeting, and a big portion of the agenda was the Young Women's Summit taking place at City Hall on November 9th from 2 a.m. to 2 p.m. And this is something that MCCSC students can have dismissal from school. They get bused to the event. I'm not sure how many years it's been running, but this is kind of an ongoing event that has taken place. During the meeting, it was very interesting because they had a teacher there, and she brought a whole bunch of students that were there over Zoom kind of as observers, but they also gave some input, and they were trying to land on kind of the theme of the summit. So all these ideas were being discussed, and among those were personal safety, bodily autonomy, justice, supporting each other. And so it was really a fruitful kind of discussion about all these topics. And then Shatoya, I forget her last name, but Shatoya was kind of the one leading the discussion, and she was just listening the whole time. And at the end of what seemed a little bit chaotic and like, how are they going to pull this together? She goes, okay, what I'm hearing is my voice, my choice, my rejoice. That's our theme. I was like, that was amazing. So that is the theme. They are going to send us a sign-up sheet because they did say they would need volunteers for the day. So I jumped in and said, you know, we might be able to provide some volunteer support. I didn't rope us into anything, but I said if they have a sign-up sheet going around that they could go ahead and send that over to us. So that was a large portion of their meeting. Then they had some other business. One thing that I took note that was surprising, I don't know if it interfaces exactly with our commission, but they said IU Health has stopped providing mental health services for children under 10. They said also Centerstone does not provide services for children under 10. So I'm not quite sure what to do for that with that information, but what they are doing, they are going to lead a landscape analysis of services that are available. I'm not sure the landscape sounds pretty dismal. So, yeah, again, this is for children, so I don't know if it interfaces with our business, but just in your, know that that is going on in our community. I found that concerning. So those were the main points of their meeting. They did mention a poster series that was done with Middle Way House. So I was going to ask if that is something, you know, that can be shared at IU. I'm not sure who the audience is there, but I was just going to follow up with Maria if that is something that we, you know, in our professional connections can help spread throughout the community. And I will type up the formal notes. I will not submit this to the group, but I will type them up and put them in the Dropbox. But those were the major items on the agenda.
Thank you. Do you know, Maria, anything about the girls' web designs camp?
Actually, no, I was not able to attend that meeting, but Tiana is online right now.
And yes. So I'm gonna turn my camera off because I'm driving. So yes, the web design camp, we actually met with Molly and we met with Angie, Julie, and myself. And she's gonna send us a draft of the MOU that she's gonna send to IU Board of Trustees. And once she sends that draft, it'll go to the lawyers at IU and get approved and all this stuff. And then we'll be set to go. Looking like the web design camp will actually happen in the spring because there's not enough time because the Board of Trustees don't meet until November. So we're going to push it to the spring instead of happening in the fall.
That's good.
But it was a really good meeting. Julie can add more if she likes, but that's a summary of the meeting pretty much of what's happening.
I think that sounds great. Yeah, that's what I have in my notes.
So let's get together a subcommittee meeting soon so we can get that calendared because we'll want to look at, you know, all the dates and all the things going on in spring just to make sure that it makes sense as far as the time frame goes.
Yes, that's a good point too, Maria. One thing I left out, we're planning to make sure it all happens before spring break because we don't want to get into the solar eclipse day, Little Five, all the things that happen in Bloomington and IU during that time. So yes, we'll get together in subcommittee soon, and we'll fill you in as well, Maria. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Once, I just have a question. Since I so appreciate that we're going to keep rolling with this and just pivot the time of year so we can keep keep this on the agenda and make it happen. I'm wondering, do we need to say something out to the community to let them know, knowing that people are generally signing up right now for this event? And so since we're changing the season, maybe just a public statement to let people know it's coming. It'll be in the spring, so that people don't think it's not happening at all. It's just an idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Nikki. I don't even think we thought of that one, because I mean, when I tell you we thought of everything, because we're dealing with the lawyer there. We thought of everything. We did think of that. So yes, I think that'll be a great thing. And as we meet as a subcommittee, we can come up with something to send out. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, actually, I'm thinking about when we solidify a date, then we do a press release. And so hopefully that can happen, pretty soon.
Yeah,
announcing that we're not having it and this is when we are having it.
Yeah, I think probably just doing something saying that it's coming in the spring without dates would probably be better protocol, because if we're gonna wait until everything's solidified, it's gonna be after November. That's why we said, and also Maria, I know you're on the subcommittee with us. We didn't mean to make an executive decision, but the way everything was moving and knowing that the Board of Trustees wasn't meeting to November, we're like, there's no way we can get everything together and make it happen before the semester ends. So that's why we pushed it to the spring. But I think we should just say it's coming, it's gonna happen in the spring, and then as soon as it gets approved, then we can announce the dates, because I don't think they would allow us to announce some dates yet and it's not approved. You see what I'm saying?
I do. Thank you for that. And that's
Okay.
fine. That's fine. That's a good, like Nikki said, I appreciate that we're going to keep this, the service going and just pivot because of the timing. Whoa.
Yeah, and if we can get on the agenda to talk in details about it, to get it approved after we get the final document, that'll be good, because it's actually what they're doing is making an agreement with the Luddy School, and then it's sort of like the Monroe County is paying Luddy, so, and then the responsibilities of us. So when that draft comes, it's going to be important that we all look at it as commissioners to see if it makes sense what we're doing as commissioners and what's happening at Luddy, and also the mill too. But we can talk about all that when we get that draft. Oh shoot, sorry. Oh, I didn't make a good turn. Okay, I'm done. Sorry, I'm driving and.
Thank you.
Be careful.
Yeah, I definitely think reach out to our site partners just to let them know, because I thought it's coming would be a good thing. That's it about that. Does anyone have anything else to add about that camp? Now, Gender Equity Justice Response Subcommittee, I'll give it to Julie.
Yeah, and I figured out just now that I need to share my screen probably to show this if I want to ask everyone to vote on it. So let me do this and see if this can work. Is this visible here?
Yep.
Can you read that? All right, great. So yes, so this is our summary recommendations that we are putting together. The Justice Fiscal Advisory Committee was supposed to be finishing up and having its last meeting this week, and they met on Tuesday, or Monday, sorry, they met on Monday and have a set of recommendations in table format. There's like 30 some, and they worked through as much as they could and had some things that were needing discussion and needing some more thought. So they ended up adding another meeting. There's going to be one more meeting next week. It's Monday or Tuesday. Now I'm blanking on it. Monday is our deadline, though. They basically put those recommendations out for public comment and feedback, including feedback from us. They added some things that we have been mentioning in our public comments as the Gender Equity and Justice Response Subcommittee. They've added some things to those that recommendation list from us, but then when they were discussing them in the meeting on Monday, they had questions and were unsure about some things. So This is hopefully a way that we can respond to that, as well as summarize all of the things that we've been trying to get across for gender equity regarding a new jail facility and new services surrounding that facility. So we have an introduction here about what it is that we've been doing, attending the meetings, talking with the sheriff and the jail commander, and doing the tour of the jail, and doing the research that we've been doing, and then summarizing our recommendations. And in list format, we're looking at immediate changes that we are encouraging to do right now, and then short-term changes that we think can be done before any sort of new jail facility is being occupied. And then long-term changes that we encourage to be done as part of any new jail facility being occupied. That's kind of how we were talking about breaking them down. So we've added the reference list, and also tried to note the references with each of the items so that there's some more context provided, because part of the problem is that they were kind of copying and pasting directly out of our public comment, and it was combining things together, multiple points. So trying to break things up here and point to references that we were talking about and we were researching to try and help that out. And then after that, since they've been using the table format, we also tried to set it up in a table format that gives a similar sort of layout that they've been using, with recommendation category and time allocation, and then a description, and numbered the same in the same order that they are in the list in the list that we have above the references. So that is what we're aiming for, and I think it's pretty much there. I don't think we're going to see any major edits, but we do have until Monday to do this, so I feel like we want to probably give it ourselves a little bit of time to just double check this. But I think today I was just hoping we could, as a Women's Commission as a whole, vote to adopt that we're good with having these summary recommendations sent along to now we can still send it to the Justice Fiscal Advisory Committee email, since they still are working, as well as send it to the County Council and the Board of Commissioners. And then, I guess on top of that, so that's a vote that I would like to do if we can. We've also scheduled meetings, work sessions for the subcommittee through December monthly to continue with this as we can. And we're not sure what that's going to look like after the Justice Fiscal Advisory Committee is finished. But we're hoping that there's going to be some way that we can continue following this topic and providing input where we can for gender equity issues. So that, I think, is the update. And I guess, do I make the motion to do the vote? Are we ready to do that? Do we need to have a discussion or talk about the document?
I'm
I
ready
think
to
you asked for
vote.
discussion or questions. Or no, you're ready?
I'm ready to vote. If other people have discussion, that's fine. We can do that.
Yeah,
I've read it, so.
is there anything that anyone's wanting to ask about what's going on here with this document and the summary?
We came prepared.
Amazing work, Julie. Thank you.
Really well done, Julie.
You all were doing this too, so this is.
Well, we were
in a
riding
big
your
subcommittee.
coattails.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was you. Also, I just want to say out loud that it was really affirming to me to see our work come together so quickly, that our voices were heard and considered in their recommendations. The recommendations aren't perfect, but my goodness, it was really clear to me that they were listening to us and that our input mattered. And so I just want to commend us all on that important kind of discussion and just grabbing a hold and being a part of it. So that's good work.
Yes, I know Commissioner Iverson reached out to me after the meeting and asked, or was trying to connect with me. I told him we were having the meeting tonight. He was going to try to pop in because he had some requests to ask from us. So,
Well, Jennifer Crossley, Councilperson Crossley, is attending virtually. She's on Zoom, and she commented. So she says that we appreciate the Women's Commission suggestions. We heard y'all loud and clear. So thank you.
thank you.
All right. I can make a motion to for the Women's Commission to adopt this summary recommendation. And we will, if that works, we'll send it along by Monday, end of day.
I second. If I can. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Aye. Passes, motion passes.
Bravo.
Good work.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Just so you know, though, the work is not over. I mean, this is good work, and I'm so glad Nikki is putting a pin in this because it's probably more likely that the rest, a lot of us are like, but there's still more work to do. So thank you for putting a pin in that, Nikki. But there is still a lot of work to do as far as in the current jail. As Susan mentioned earlier, the county council had their budget, like 3 days of budget hearings. I don't know how they did it, but the reception to the sheriff's budget seemed positive. So then that means we all know money's the bottom line. So that means that a lot of these recommendations, if the budget's passed, will come to fruition. So that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I did, yes. I also I was going to say it and I've been trying to look it up, but because I don't know. I did want to, remind, I don't know if anybody saw that the commissioners are having 2 listening sessions regarding the Thompson site. They're this weekend, I think. If I find them, I'll add them in later.
Well, one happened yesterday.
Oh, was it yesterday?
Yeah, the other one is on Sunday at 3:00 at the RCA Community Park.
There you go.
At the RCA community.
Did you attend?
I was not able to attend yesterday. I'm not sure if I can attend on Sunday either, but I'm contemplating if I can shift things around to do that. If anybody else is able to go, it would be.
You said it's the county commissioners doing a listening session regarding the Thompson site?
Well, regarding
new
the
jail?
site for the jail, the Justice Complex, I think is what they're calling it.
Okay.
So I don't know that it's necessarily just about Thompson, but I think they're talking about the various sites potentially.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And Councilperson Crossley just put in the chat that it is on CATS. So yesterday's session is on CATS, so we could always catch that too to
Great.
see
Yeah, that's a good point.
what's going on.
Oh, nice. Okay. Maria, I'm handing this over to you. The mission statement.
Oh, I was like, what's happening? So we've been talking a little bit about updating the mission statement. Not sure, I would guess that this mission statement and purpose has been in effect since 2011 or whenever this committee or commission was created. So we've had some discussion about how we wanted to be more inclusive and be more specific about the work that we are doing. So a proposed statement is this: the commission shall serve in an advisory role to assist the government of Monroe County in addressing issues of gender equity in all aspects of the community. So that's more like the purpose statement. And then the mission is to advance the status, and it says identifying there, but we want to take that out. The mission is to advance the status of women and marginalized genders in all areas of county life. That is, again, on the agenda. I know that we can vote to adopt the purpose and mission. We can table it and continue to talk about it, wordsmith. But once we do get something that we are satisfied with and have voted on, then we do need to take it to, I think we should probably do both council and commission, council and commissioner, since, this body is a combination of appointed from both.
I definitely have to double check with the commissioners to see what I was told that we could, rewrite it, and but they didn't say really what the next step was, so I'll have to talk to the commissioners about that. But we are striking identifying out of this statement that's written. Okay, perfect.
Yes, thank you. So, I mean, discussion about it, questions, are we ready to vote? Any and all of that?
No,
I feel ready to vote. We had a nice discussion about it a couple months. I'm always ready to vote, y'all. Like, we had a nice discussion about it a couple of meetings ago. But if other people have things to say, then happy to listen. If not, let's keep moving.
do I have a motion? Anybody have any comments to make?
Yeah, we have
I'm good with striking the word identifying. So just
Me too.
status of women and marginalized genders is good. Yes.
I second.
So that's
All in favor of striking identifying, say aye.
Aye.
Do I have a motion to count on the mission statement as without identifying?
Motion to change the missions, update the mission statement.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Well done.
The new mission statement passes. I will follow up with the commissioners to see what our next steps are, and then I will let us all know. Dr. Britton. New business.
The only new business that I've got is just looking at the preamble. We were going to try to vote on that. Just preamble that we use when we're doing public comment is if we're updating the mission statement, we would be updating that preamble. So that's just I don't know. I don't even know if we have to vote on that. That would just be a note if we're going to do that. So
I just want to make a comment. We've been using the preamble in the JFAC meetings, but I think it's good practice. Like anytime we're making public comment to give that, I really like it as like setting the stage for putting our mission out there every time and like grounding people in that. So just best practice.
I agree. So does anybody have any comments about the preamble? Has everyone had a chance to look at it? And if so, do I have a motion to pass the preamble as, I know Nikki's about ready to.
Right? You know, I'm all about
we've
it.
already used it multiple times.
Yes. Do I have a motion to pass the standardized
Julie,
preamble?
let me wait 1 minute. So Julie has probably used it the most. Do you find it easy to articulate it? Like, is it easy and like time? We don't want it
it's
too
like
long.
we got it down. It's like 20 seconds what we say, so it doesn't really take too much into a public comment time.
I think that's perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 The preamble passes. Is there any other new business?
All the business.
No? Wonderful. So, we invited Misty James from New Leaf New Life, who I feel like lives in this room right now, has been here a lot. So we welcome you here. Maria and I had a chance to meet with Jordan a couple months ago now, I think, to just kind of understand what New Leaf New Life was about. So we're just hoping you could share, and we've been watching you obviously with, I keep wanting to call it CJAM, and I know that's not it.
JFAC.
Or JFAC, and you've been doing so great there. Thank you for sharing all the time. So we're just hoping you could tell us a little bit about New Leaf New Life and maybe even how you feel about your role with JFAC.
So I am Missy James. I live in Monroe County. First let me talk to you guys about New Leaf New Life. New Leaf New Life is an organization that advocates for folks who are incarcerated. We advocate for folks while they're incarcerated, in post-incarceration, and also before they're incarcerated. We work with our county jail here. We exchange letters to bridge the gap for the public defenders, to facilitate treatment applications, to get them into them quick and get them to the right places. So we take the burden off the public defender in that area and help the the person, because one of the biggest hurdles that you have when you're incarcerated is accessing treatment options. You know, it's limited, like, you know, how obviously our public defenders are, like, they're hiring 2 now, I think, right? So they're super hurting for help. And, you know, they're overloaded with clients. So we bridge the gap for the public defenders and help our clients access treatment, which is a huge barrier when you're incarcerated, right? They want you to go to treatment, but they don't give you an easy option to access it. So we do that inside the jail. We do programming inside the jail as well. We have a reentry collective or a reentry workshop class inside the jail. We do Read to Me inside the jail, where folks can read books that they've wrote for their children. We also have a creative writing class that is ran by Frank Browncloud, which is a wonderful human. So we do that stuff inside the jail. We provide prescription glasses for folks who are incarcerated, sometimes coloring pages. You know what I mean? Something for them to do. Sometimes we, you know, it's all, we do sober support. Some of the letters are just simply like, hey man, I'm just like really down and scared and I don't know what's going to happen. So sometimes it's just sober support. Sometimes they don't, you know, need anything at all. Just a waning trial. I personally have been incarcerated there multiple times, and New Leaf, New Life has always like advocated for me while I was there, oftentimes when I had no one else. Outside of the jail, our transition center, so that office is ran by folks with lived experience. The folks who work in the office, me in particular, cannot go to the jail just because they have, you know, a criminal history. So they have a process that they follow pretty strictly on that, I think. And so I don't actually access the jail, but I do correspond with folks who are incarcerated. And so our interns and stuff that we have from School of Social Work will then facilitate groups plus volunteers. So that gives us, you know, that access. At our office, also for folks in jail, we provide birth certificates. So they have their birth certificates when they're getting out. That's oftentimes something that we can do. Sometimes it requires a notary, which is at that time is difficult for us to do while they're incarcerated. But general easy birth certificates, we do that. We can do those. Obtain documents for people. Find placement and treatment for people. Like that's our primarily what we do with the letter writing. And so when they're released from jail, they can come to us, and we can, you know, oftentimes when you're arrested, I have never been arrested with any type of documentation. I usually had warrants for my arrest, so I did not want to be readily identified. Not that they didn't already know who I was. You know what I mean? So it'd be hard pressed to find an officer that didn't already know me. So we're often arrested with no documentation whatsoever. And, you know, so they come to our office, they can get a BMV form, which is a letter of residency that they can take to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles and get an ID. We do cover costs of birth certificates for folks who are previously incarcerated. We worked really hard to build relationships with folks in our community that hire folks with backgrounds. We have a very solid relationship with Goodwill Industries. Goodwill Industries is an amazing second chance employer, and they we just do direct referrals with them. So we just send over, it's a very short referral process. We send them over and they get them immediately in for an interview. We've had really good success for hiring those. Goodwill Industries hires folks no matter what their charges are, you know, so it's definitely a great avenue for us. 2 of the staff members are certified peer recovery coaches, me included. Another thing that we do have clothing there. We work with organization. We work with Bent Barbershop to do haircuts for our clients. They give us so many haircuts per month. We work in close partnership with Salvation Army. For stuff that we don't have, we provide non-slip work shoes because a lot of folks go into the restaurant field when they get out. And we provide work boots, non-slip shoes, and things like that for folks once they're released. We are also Access Wireless distributors, so we distribute government phones, which is one of the biggest barriers for people coming out of jail, right? They have to have a communication route to their parole or probation, like it's a requirement. Folks in problem-solving court, folks on daily reporting, they get texts, and they have to have that access to get the text messages. So we decided about a year ago, like that is one of the biggest barriers that folks face coming out of incarceration. So we shopped around and found Access Wireless, and they trained us and provide phones for us. So we have those phones on hand, and we're trained to facilitate applications for those phones, and we can give those to the clients then that day that they have access to call their probation officers and et cetera. Also, New Life, just like it's complete sober support. Folks can get their mail there. That we also, to go back to things that we do for folks in jail. When they're released, we'll pick up their property and hold it while they're in prison, or or they've gone somewhere to another county or whatever. We store property for folks. Sometimes that's all they have, right? And those documents are really hard to replace. And so when they're sent off to prison, then they just have us come and pick up their property. We do tons of outsourcing or outreach in the community to try to work with other organizations. We work with Courage to Change Sober Living. We have good relationships with Amethyst House. That's a good primary person that we work with. We work with the Indiana Recovery Alliance. Not everyone that comes to our door is, has chosen that path of recovery that would allow them to go to treatment. So yeah, our office is pretty small, and we run on like a real small budget. It is the therapeutic value, speaking for myself only, the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. I can sit down with these people and say, listen, I know what is happening with you. I totally understand your situation, and like these are you have options, and you have people that love and care about you. New Leaf New Life is just and New Leaf New Life is a second chance employer, right? If you have a felony, they love it. They want you. They're like, I've never worked anywhere. They're like, oh, you have a felony? That's what I need in my life. I need you. You are the person for me. So it's very unique in that aspect. And something else that New Leaf New Life does, and I'll get a little more statistics on you. So we've served, we're tracking the recidivism rates for 750 people that we served since Jordan's came in. We started tracking recidivism rates. Out of the 750 people that we started tracking, 175 of those folks went back to jail. And unfortunately, this is really sad, but the way that we have to track recidivism rates is a rearrest, right? So this is, sometimes when it's a technical violation, it's still recidivism in the eyes of recidivism. So we track that as, I wouldn't even venture to know how many of these people didn't catch new charges and just had a technical violation for probation and parole. So our overall recidivism rates for our organization is 23%. But another thing that we do, another program that we have is we have a housing support program where we pay for first month's rent deposit sometimes for folks who have felony charges or felony backgrounds. It's really difficult for you to find housing when you have a felony background. Bloomington's housing market is crazy anyway. But it was so bad for me personally. Just to tell you my story, I lived in sober living for 17 months. Finally found a super predatory landlord to rent off of, and eventually my friend bought a house, and I ended up renting from her. So yeah, so we have this program, and we got money from the community foundation originally, right? And so they gave us money to support this program. We've also gotten money from City of Bloomington. We've gotten money from Jack Hopkins, which is also City of Bloomington, to support folks with, especially another big barrier to treatment or sober living options is that move-in cost, right? I just got out of jail. I don't have a job. I don't have an ID, So we will pay bed deposits. We will pay like first month's rent at a treatment center. Since we started that program and started tracking that, the recidivism rates for that program where we secured housing for people is 9%. Where we gave them the best fighting chance ever. I mean, how do you recover? You recover when you're safe. You recover when you're secure, and when you feel like somebody cares about you. Right? I mean, that's my personal story, but yeah, so we've helped 90 people with that money. And we're not talking about like, I don't know the specifics on how much money each grant was, but I do know that, with the money that we've gotten, we've helped 90 people, and our recidivism rate for those people are 9%. So that's really great, a really great thing that New Leaf New Life does. We also help people access HIP and SNAP applications. It varies from things to things that folks need. They need divorce papers printed off. They need to work on their credit. They need to find out, on a day-to-day basis, it's hard to like pin down what somebody might need because barriers for different people in different groups look way different. And so I'm super glad to be part of New Leaf New Life. You guys our transition center is open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We work with people who have been greatly impacted by the criminal justice system. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you've been arrested, right? You can be greatly impacted by the criminal justice system through a parent of arrest or in many circumstances, right? So, New Leaf New, if you guys would ever want to stop by and see us, that'd be cool. It's a super small office, so we don't get out much, but
Full of clothes.
yeah,
Full of
we
a lot
do.
of jeans.
We have a lot of jeans. Okay, so the practical clothing. We do like, what people might need, like jeans, t-shirts, things like that. Right.
So can I ask you a question? We're gonna
Of course.
ask you questions about New Leaf, New Life.
Sure.
And then maybe we'll ask about the other thing. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing. It's an incredibly impressive program. I know when I went, one of my questions was for Jordan, and why I wanted to go was, and I didn't even know about it until we went through all this gender equity or what the JFAC stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the jail stuff, had just blown away by, the thing and frustrated at the same time, which I can only imagine. Understanding the gaps in care, and the people, and trying to understand what probation does, and this is, versus what you guys do, and are you filling the gap because probation can't? Because in my mind, these are the things that probation should be doing too, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know what probation does, I guess. And so, I don't know. I don't know. I'm so incredibly just impressed with what you guys do. I think my question is, besides my ramble, is, I think Jordan told us that it's mostly men that you serve? Or do you have a guesstimate about what your breakdown is between men and women?
I don't have the specific numbers. Jordan is excellent at collecting data and demographics. I can tell you today, I did 2 intakes releases. One of them was a man and one of them was a woman. So I don't have the specifics on that. She collects the data. But yeah, I would say that, the population you were sharing, that Commander shared the population. I was looking at, it's generally around 200. The amount of women who are incarcerated right now is super small. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And it's growing though.
It is. I think that, and women are treated far differently. Just the whole aspect of being arrested. I think that, I don't know. I always felt like I can only speak for myself, but I have been arrested, and it was like a, I always felt like people, and maybe they didn't like specifically say this, but I always felt like people like, you should be at home with your kids. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're a woman. Why are you out here? You know what I mean? It was a different type of, and it was like it was almost like guilting me, right? Like, what are you doing? You're a lady, like, and I feel as though that is more shameful, and nobody grows or gets better from shame or guilt, right? I mean, I am eligible too for addiction, just like anyone else.
Having heard from our commission in speaking at the JFAC meetings that you've been so eloquent speaking at, I wonder, do you have any suggestions or ideas for us in what we can do as a commission to help further your cause, be supportive?
Well, I think that I appreciate especially like with you guys inviting us that I matter. It's always very interesting for me at the JFAC meetings because I'm like, I feel like the wild card at the table. They're like, I don't know what she's gonna say or do, but I do feel like my opinion is very valued. All the councilmen are very kind to me. They do value my opinion. I'm not just, at first I was like, man, am I just going to be on there just so they can have somebody that has been incarcerated? But it is a valued opinion. And which, it was obviously it's the scariest thing for me. Was my opinion going to be valued, or was I going to be exploited? And I do feel like my opinion has been valued. I feel important to the cause, and I think that they do care about folks who have been incarcerated.
No one has any questions?
Well, I was going to ask. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to ask about if New Leaf New Life has anything that's like particular for services provided for women, or it doesn't kind of sound like there's anything that's necessarily special.
So we have we would love to do something like that, and we have in the past done Women Writing for a Change. You guys know about that? While I was incarcerated, that was like literally my favorite class to go to. And we have had women's like collective groups. We had New Leaf New Life women's challenge program. That was kind of like when we first started that. Jordan came and she was like, let's do something fun. And so we put a group together and we just did stuff women who are incarcerated might not ever do. Like we went, we did I don't know, arts and crafts. I'm like, this is the worst thing. But I did it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Things I normally, we went rock climbing. I'm like, this is definitely not for me. Right. And we zip lining, things that we maybe wouldn't do. And, Jordan did a really well putting that together. So we do programs for women. We would love to do more. It's like for our budget, it's like all we can do for Jordan is our director. She's our grant writer. Like, so we all just wear so many different hats. Like today I was sorting donations, then I was working with the parole to get a release from prison. So like my hat is real different all the time.
So that's like those were things that are for folks that have gotten out of jail, and then there was the writing class that is for folks that are incarcerated. Is that right?
Yes, there was Women Writing for Change. I'm not sure. I don't think that is currently going on in the jail, just because after COVID, during COVID, a lot of the programming stopped, and we're just now like the commanders just like we're just now getting programming started back into the jail and like figuring out like what is the most important things or whatever.
Yeah.
But also, the reentry workshop we do have the women's blocks involved. So
I just wanted to take this time to also thank you, Misty, for being brave. Actually, not brave. That's not the right word. For being courageous, which means acknowledging, some anxiety or fear, but doing, pushing forward for the better, greater good. And it would be shameful if your opinions and perspectives didn't matter. That would be problematic, because we cannot sit anywhere if we don't have lived experience. We can't say, oh, you need this and you need that and this is what we should do. How do we know that? So thank you so much. Your perspective is invaluable. I mean, I think it's the most valuable that's actually around that table, the JFAC table. I wondered what your thoughts were on what she was a prosecutor who said that bringing children to court was not an issue, that was fine. I wondered what your thoughts were on that.
Well,
Yeah.
I have a super long history of incarceration. I actually have never had her as a prosecutor. So, but I have brought my children to court with me, and I shared this in the jail. I'm just like rogue anyway. So I'm like, listen, I brought my kids to court with me, and I do that sometimes so that I hope they don't arrest me. Like, what are you gonna do with my kids? You know what I mean? I have done that. Also, out of fear. Like, I'm a mother. Like, please see that. I'm an addict, and I'm what you guys would consider a criminal, but I'm also a mother, and I'm a woman. So I try to, I don't know about bringing children to court. I have been to court a lot of times, and I've seen that very, very rarely. And sometimes I personally had an experience with a judge who is no longer a judge that was like, how dare you bring your kids? She didn't say that, but you could tell that it was like super frustrating for her to do that. I don't know. I got to believe that what she said or what they said was correct, but she also is one person in that courtroom. There are multiple people in the courtroom, public defender, the prosecutor.
And it kind of came across like it sounded like every situation, every judge might have a different opinion or way they want to, if they'll be okay with it or not. So it sounds like it's not very consistent potentially.
Right. I would be careful of bringing your children to court, because I feel personally, just me, not speaking on behalf of an organization, but I feel personally that could go either way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think in the recommendations that we're putting together, we're trying to be more specific about that, and we'll see if it helps. But we're trying to say, there needs to be information provided up front about childcare options for things like court dates or appointments, that sort of thing, and also encouraging that they provide childcare.
And when a woman is in the criminal justice system, she's already marginalized and cannot seek. And I've heard others share, well, when you stop doing drugs and you stop whatever, then you can afford to pay for things and live in Bloomington. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not a doctor. Right. No offense to Dr. Britton, but I'm not a doctor. I work at a nonprofit, and I make a very minimal amount of money. Mm-hmm. I'm lucky to have the job that I have, and I supplement that job with a restaurant in the mornings. Mm-hmm. I think we're living in a town where the rent, like 6% of the rental market is under $1,000, right? And for people like me, you're going to get super predatory landlords that charge astronomical amounts of money with really bizarre leases. And it's super, it's terrible. That's terrible, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know about bringing the children to court or bringing them to probation or any of that. I have done that, and it did not go super well for me.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I misspoke in my public comment about that, because I said something about me not being in need of services, but one, that's not true. I have doctor's appointments. I'm on like it's a whole thing, but thank God my children are getting grown now, but I only have two. And at my 4-pay job at Middleway House, I see mothers trying to transport 3 kids under 5
Right.
to go, not on the, by foot in this heat that we've had, here in town. And it is a daunting task. It is a task that I would not want to do, which I would not have the energy to do. And to bring them to court, again, I feel like I can say this because I'm a mother. It's hard to be your best self, when you're trying to juggle, kids, snacks and
Right.
sippy cups and
Super
and all this
irritated,
stuff.
can't yell at
And
him at court.
also, yeah, but also let's not bring them to court. And if you have to. And I think your reasoning was smart, Misty, why you brought him. But to see you as a person, for sure, that's not a joke. To see you as a person and who you are. But also, let's not re-traumatize them. Like, let's not talk about these things over and over and say what happened, who did what, see their parents fighting or see their mother, pleading for her freedom or, whatever. These kids don't need to, see that. So I just wanted to, because it was stated in that meeting that we were maybe trying to solve a problem that wasn't there. And so I just kind of wanted to see from an expert, with lived experience, if it was a problem, because I don't want to waste my time if it's not a problem, but I cannot imagine that it's not. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
What donations do you guys take at New Leaf New Life?
So we take this is what I would say on the phone. We take like rugged outerwear, like sweatshirts, jeans, t-shirts. We do take some like interview attire, but we work primarily with My Sister's Closet for the women for interview attire. We tend to keep more dress clothes on hand for men because we do have the option. It's more private for My Sister's Closet for women. I don't know if you've ever been to our office, but it's kind of like people just getting out of jail. They're like, I worked with a person today that was just released from prison like with no warning whatsoever after being in there for like 9 years. Like, hey, the parole board saw him, he's coming out. And I was like, oh wow, okay. So yeah, it's kind of chaotic. For women, I think it's important for them to have privacy to pick clothes and things out, you know what I mean? Especially when you've been incarcerated, you don't know what size you are, you're pretty uncomfortable with your no exercise, you're pretty uncomfortable with your body and yourself. It's pretty it's very demeaning for a woman to be incarcerated. And although I do think the correctional officers who work in our county jail, some of those people loved me when nobody else did. When I would come in, they would be like, you know what, I'm glad you're okay. Mm-hmm. And they tried to make it as less demeaning as possible. But it is still super, it's super, like, here, put this lice shampoo on your head, here, strip your clothes off, let me look in your mouth. It's, and then so on, like if I need, I was a heroin addict. I was homeless here in Bloomington. I had no health insurance. So if I did go into jail with anything female going on, that's our jail currently, the access for the medical room is pretty wide open. I think they do their best as far as like trying to keep it as private as possible maybe. But, if I need medical care as a female, I gotta go in a wide open hallway where people are comings and goings, and you know what I mean? It's not really a private area.
We didn't see that when we toured the jail, did we?
You didn't see the medical room. It could be different. I have not been incarcerated since 2019.
We also ended up kind of cutting off. They were still wanting to show us things and we had to leave. So that also happened.
Yeah.
It may have been that we just didn't get to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do think that the Sheriff Marte and Commander Gibbons have shared about like trying to come up with a better way to, so I think that they're aware of.
Yeah, I don't remember if we actually saw any medical care spaces that they pointed out. I don't think that we did.
Yeah, if somebody was using it, they could maybe not have, I mean,
Right.
for
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
protection of health information, they might not have
Right.
wanted to venture there. But I was going to ask you, you had been mentioning the clothing, so it made me think of any workforce development opportunities, like with the Office of Workforce Development. Do they come and help people with resumes, or how do you interview, or what do you?
So
have you had experience
we
with that?
haven't actually worked with workforce development very much, but Stacy, who is one of my partners in the office, she's cool. She's really great. She's very proficient with resume building. So like we all have like our little things there. We've just hired a new lady named Nikki, and she's very kind. So we all have our things, like, if someone will call, like, we pick kind of like, okay, they need a driver's license. I'm like an expert at that because I lost my license like all the time. So I got professional skills when it comes to that, filling out those papers and helping people access them to try to obtain their license. Divorce, I'm good at that. So like we just assign things based on like our experience and make it as comfortable of an exchange with the client as possible. If they're trying to build a resume and I'm like a mess, then you know what I mean? I think it's important to assign the client based on the person you're assigning skills.
Has it ever been talked about, you guys getting into housing, providing some kind of housing for people?
So is not to my knowledge, because we do work with partners like Amethyst House. We will also work with Oxford houses. Like I know every person in every Oxford house that I need to call. So like we've spent a lot of time building relationships with the Courage to Change Sober Living, Amethyst. We work with Hickory Treatment. We work with lots of treatment centers for detox, and then help advocate for plans for them afterwards.
So, I mean, and if you can't share, that's fine. So, like the gentleman you saw today, did he have somewhere to go?
Yes.
He did.
Yeah, but because I have been corresponding with him for years, while he's been incarcerated. So like we've came up with a plan for him and have had that in place for a long time. Unfortunately, like the criminal justice system works really weird. And like when you go see the parole board, I've never been to prison, just jail, but I guess when you go see the parole board, sometimes that stuff happens really quick. So you see them, and then if you have somewhere to go, then you're released pretty quickly. They told me it could approximately be 30 days, and they released him within 24 hours. It's like, so yes, he did. Yeah.
Would you say, I mean, and this may seem like a silly question to ask because it seems like the answer is obvious, but housing is the biggest issue, the biggest barrier. I know how ridiculous this county, I think we all know how ridiculous this county is for anybody to live in. People with, two decent incomes to live, it's very hard. I don't even know where people live that, are making, minimum wage.
The biggest barrier, is numerous things. There are so many barriers, but yes, housing safety. It's not even about housing. It's like, do I have a place to sleep tonight? Right? I've slept outside. I've slept outside when it was so cold. We were burning crayons to stay warm. You can burn crayons. I slept outside when it was so cold I thought I would die that night. Right? So housing, it's safety. Right? Immediate emergency housing. Is important, and no one should sleep outside in any community ever. This is a really, really big thing. Another huge barrier that we face is stigma, right? I mean, I started my drug addiction haphazardly by an overprescribing doctor that was prescribing opiates to a child, right? I had a headache, and the person gave me medicine that was euphoric to me, and it killed every pain I had, physical, emotional. It was the wrong medicine, wrong time, wrong everything. I was not a criminal before that. I grew up with parents that didn't use drugs in a little town, and I grew up to seek that feeling of euphoria. Right? I was a mother. I'm speaking of the Women's Commission, so I was a mother, and I was expected to work, take care of my children, and I was physically and spiritually exhausted. And everybody was like, "You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to, be the housekeeper." And I was a child. So, yeah, I think stigma is one of the biggest barriers. Stigma for sure. And then outside of that is, so people, they want people who are released from jail to set up an appointment. I've said this before, and I still stand on this. They want them to set up an appointment with a mental health provider that with a phone they don't have, to make it to an appointment they can't get to, because, to then fill out 10 pages of paperwork about something they already know what's wrong with them, just to be set out another few weeks to see somebody that can actually make their situation different. Not to mention all the other requirements put upon you by our justice system, and how folks, they have to have a job, but how are they going to achieve this when they are sleeping outside? When I couldn't maintain a water source, let alone an appointment. And I would try to get to these court dates. I would have court dates, and I would get high so I could get there, and then I would be too high to go there. Like, it was, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh Lord, I might overdid it. That's how it's how it is out there. It's a battle to maintain. There's no, it's myopic when you're in addiction. You can literally do nothing but find ways and means to get more. Like, it's really, really, it's really scary out there for females as well.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Does New Leaf, New Life, well, a couple things I wanted to say real quick. So my 4-pay job is at Middle Way House. And so I did want to let you know that we do have a notary on staff. And I don't know if you need, somebody to go there. I don't want to speak for her or for the organization, but just know that we do have a notary on staff. So you could always, if you have a need for one, call, come over, whatever. 2, Middle Way House also writes letters to, I think we write letters specifically to the incarcerated survivors. And then on Mother's Day, we have what we call a banner drop. So on Mother's Day, we go and hold up banners and things like that to say Happy Mother's Day to the incarcerated mothers. So my point in saying all that is that I hope that New Leaf, New Life and Middle Way House, can continue or can, be supportive of each other and partner with each other as much as possible. That's what one of my goals. I'm just the development director, but I think it's important because I believe the better together wholeheartedly. And so if we can ever be of assistance to you, please let me know. And question I have, do you take volunteers? And if so, what's the process for that?
So yes, do you mean inside the jail or outside the jail?
Whatever New Leaf, New Life offers as far as volunteer opportunities.
So volunteer opportunities in the jail look a little different than volunteer opportunities in the office, because everyone is, has to go through a process to be cleared to go into our county jail. I don't know what the requirements for that is as far as what they look at. So you would contact our volunteer coordinator, who is Stacey Flynn, and she could give you the right directions to go. As far as volunteering in our office, she handles all the volunteer stuff. So yeah, if you just want to reach out to our assistant director, Stacy Flynn, she would be glad to point in the right direction on that.
So thanks, Misty, too, for sharing everything. I have a question. You said that you've been working with the gentleman who was released today for 4 years. What do you do? Like, do you counsel with them?
Actually, so it's different for everybody. Some people are released and they're like, you know what, I'm cool. I'm glad I'm out. See ya. You know what I mean? This particular, it's a case by case basis. Just like we're all different individuals face different barriers than others. For this particular gentleman, I've been working with him for a long time, creating a plan for him once he was approved by the parole board to leave. So I've been with this guy, advocating for this guy for a long time. I gathered, first off, I welcomed him home and I let him know that I was glad that he was out and that he mattered to me and that he still mattered to me, even though he was released now, that we still will have a relationship past this point. And then I worked in partnership with his sober living house that he had been accepted into to get him into a warm handoff with them tonight. So now he went from jail, or prison, which is pretty scary, to transport van, where he is still, in custody, to being handed over to me. And I was like, what do you want to do right now? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to drink a Mountain Dew with me? What do you want to do? And so we just did what he wanted to for the first time in a long time. And we just talked and, got back in together, and I advocated for him. And tonight he's sleeping in a bed, not on a bunk. He's sleeping in a bed with people that I handed him off to that I know will look out for him. So like that to me is the most rewarding part of my job, right?
So that is kind of what I'm contemplating. Like, if New Leaf, New Life wasn't around, how is the system not ever going to be set up to be able to help as things are to help folks that way? Or do we have to have organizations like New Leaf, New Life, community groups that exist to really make this work and make anything, make it work to have that warm handoff? Or is it possible? Do you think it's possible that we can adjust things to be better?
I think that, this is a we situation. I think we work together to make things different. Like it is important to me. Like, I have been super exploited, all right? I've been marginalized. I've been shoved to I had no hope. Nobody believed in me. I was at the end of, nobody believed in me, right? That first people that that one of the first people I have ever felt love from was a correctional officer, or what I felt like was care. You know what I mean? All the way to New Leaf, New Life. So I think organizations working together to where, there is nothing worse than being sent somewhere and it is like the worst place ever. Like, I work with organizations that I know that my clients will be treated fairly. And, I think that just knowing what each other does, respecting each other's organizations, information, calling each other, going by each other's offices to visit each other to say, hey, like, what can I do to help you? What can you do to help me? Because in the end, the more forces that we have, the better the chance the client has of making it. Right.
Yeah. I'm just kind of the concept of creating a new facility with new co-located services for the county to be running. It doesn't seem like that's ever going to be all that we need. Like, we're always going to need to have community organizations that are supplementing or helping to facilitate like the human side of this experience.
So for me, it would be very difficult for me personally, not speaking on behalf of New Leaf New Life, but it would be very difficult for me to go to a treatment center that was co-located to the jail. I bet I would do excellent there. You know what I mean? This is going to be the best that I've ever done, because I would be so worried that they're just going to walk me over. You know what I mean? Like, you can complete this 28-day program or you can go back. I don't know. So I don't know about I think co-locating things are important for safety reasons for my clients. I have, one of the biggest barriers that I see is the Packing House Road parole office. That's like way, way, way out there. So co-locating makes sense to me as far as like having things in an area where people can access. I've seen frostbite where people walk from county jails in the middle of the night for hours to get back to their county, and have got frostbite because of jails in the county out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep. I just think it's interesting, like even if we manage to switch things around to be treatment focused and not be so detention focused, we're still going to be, I think, needing community organizations, needing groups like New Leaf New Life. Like I don't think there's any way to have a justice system on its own that can cover all of that, that can do all of that work. Yeah.
Well, I think one thing is very important to remember: most, if not a lot of, I would say the majority of people who are housed in our county jail and even our prison systems do not have life sentences. These people have minimal sentences. And so what happens after jail? Like you can co-locate and give services to people while they are incarcerated. But for me, the true healing and the true community support comes after. So yes, I do think that there always need to be community organizations, because how do we stop recidivism if we have nothing out here to stop it? You know what I mean? No support system outside of the jail. Even if we had treatment, a treatment center on campus, like we would still need we would still need community support, right?
Yeah.
Because, I'm 5 years clean now almost, and I still go use community support, right? So for addicts, I mean, speaking on behalf of all addicts, this is a never-ending fight for me, right? So I attend NA meetings still to this day, and other community supports to help me maintain my sobriety.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Susan, it looks like we were about 5 minutes.
Awesome. I'm trying to think. I have so many things going on in my head. My first thought is, hey, if you ever need another no-pay job, feel free to apply to be a part of the Women's Commission.
I don't know if my background is what you guys are looking for.
Oh, I think you're exactly what we're looking for.
Yes.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
If you would consider it, it would be
All
great.
you have to have is passion for women's issues, and then you learn the rest as you go.
Yep.
Truly.
Public comment.
Is there anybody there for public comment? I don't know.
I don't know. We need to make sure.
I love Dr. Britton, by the way.
I don't even know why he keeps wandered in here. That what there's interesting.
I mean, I don't know, but he's really awesome. I've had super good experiences with him.
Yeah.
He's
I
a
don't know. We
health
do need
officer,
to,
you know
yeah,
that?
check and see online if there's anybody for public comment.
Is there anybody online? Are you on the?
I don't know. Look. I'm seeing participants.
I think Jennifer has her hand up.
Yes.
Oh, Jennifer.
There we go.
Jennifer?
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, friend.
Jennifer
Hello.
Crossley. Monroe County Council District 4. I just wanted to say that I appreciate all of the conversation that I've heard today. And I'm very, number one, thankful for the work of the Women's Commission to keep coming to our meetings, to keep the fight. I think a lot of us were very frustrated and disappointed when other committee, decided to be suspended until further notice. But I think it was a really good job for us on the county council to continue that conversation. And to Misty's point, I really want you to know and understand that we value you. I know it was a reach for you to come, and I really think that all three of us from the council did not ever want you to feel that you were being tokenized in a way, or just to be used as a way for you to say, or for us to say, hey, look, we had somebody with lived experience. right? Because I know that how that feels as a Black woman to be a part of groups and organizations where we just check off a box and that's it. And I want you to know and realize that is not what you have done. And you're just even listening to you right now is very much why New Leaf, New Life, you and everything else needs to continue on with this community. Like it gives me like it makes me super emotional to hear the conversations. And as a person who has had a parent use alcohol and abuse alcohol, and ultimately ended up passing away from that, it's tough. And I just want to say shout out to you, shout out to Jordan, shout out to everybody that continues to try to give a care for a lot of our community members. So that's all I just wanted to say, but I just appreciated hearing this conversation, all the work that all of you continue to do, and to never stop coming to our meetings, whether you attend virtually or in person. So as much as you can, but again, thank you to all.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's 6:59. I am gonna adjourn. This meeting is adjourned.